Today what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the things that you don't realize, all the little things that you've got to do to get a rebuild back together. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you some of the little things like painting some of the fuel lines and things you've got to get done. Now, I'm just going to put some prime on this. Later on, I'm going to paint it all black. Let me show you what an all black fuel line setup looks like. All right, so here's my main fuel line setup, and you'll recognize that as the part that comes on the P pump, right? And this goes over or in between the valve covers and to the other side and hooks up to all 6 cylinders. So what you have to do is you got to make sure when you're doing this that you don't screw up any of the threads, you don't get any paint inside the threads inside any of these. And so you leave these lids down and you spray down at an angle here. You leave all these connections down, spray at an angle down here, and then you finish up by, if you use the card cleaner stuff, it'll evaporate pretty quick, and so it won't be in there, but it'll clean the lines out. But that's what a black one looks like. Now all my black ones are going to be, all my fuel lines will be painted black. Now this engine was not totally rebuilt. I basically took it from its original position as a street sweeper engine. Had a big compressor and everything on it, and lots of equipment on it that I didn't need. And I've taken it and put it back together just with what I need to put in my truck. So one of the things you've got to do is you've got to clean everything, because in all likelihood, it's 27 years old, and in all likelihood you're going to have grease stacked up with dirt, and that stuff's always hard to clean up. And so anything that you're going to paint, you have to clean up. With that engine, it had a real good prime coat on it, and so I didn't have to worry about it very well, because the paint I put on it, it stuck real good. All right, but today one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the front seal in the timing cover, and you have to do a good amount of prep on this. Yesterday I tried to put one in here, and I did not have this ring. And yes, the difference in price, if you're going to go cheapo, this is not the place to do cheapo. I went cheapo on it, and it did not have this. And what this is the distance ring. So you put this on the front in here, and you'll see that when it goes in there and it sits flush inside there, you have the exact distance that you want that seal to go into. It'll knock up against it right there, and then the seal will stop, and you know you have it at the right point for your crank. So all right, one of the first things you want to make sure and have is go buy yourself some thread sealant. Now this Permatex sealant that I have here, this is not thread lock. This is not the silicone of any kind. This is a thread sealant, and it is specifically designed, let's see if you can read right there, to prevent leakage. That's all it's for. It's not supposed to hold anything in other than oil. And so we're going to put that on the outside edge of the seal there. And this is the mounting tool that you really have to have. I mean, guys, you can buy these anywhere from a couple of $100 down to $13. It's a $13 one. It has probably been owned by 15 people. I got it off of eBay. You only need it once or twice in the life of your truck, unless you've got a crappy truck engine. But nevertheless, this cost me $13 on eBay. So I went and I sprung for the good seal, and so this has the protector in here, so that once it gets in there and you're ready to put it on the crank, this will guide it over the crank when you put it on, and it will keep that little rubber seal pointing towards the outside, and that's what you want. All right, so there is the front crank. All right, so this is a dust catcher, the yellow ring in there, that dust catcher, dust seal, however you can call it. All right, now we're going to put our Permatex on there, and we don't have to put a whole lot on there, but we're going to put enough just to seal it all the way around. Okay, let's take a look at it here. I'll get it up here to the camera so you can see. First of all, we're going to look inside and make sure that it is nice, safe distance, the continuous distance, I should say, from front to back, side to side. And the back looks the same. All right, so that ought to seal. We'll put that on after we get through timing it. Okay, we got it out, and you can look at it, you see it's really not in bad shape, but it's probably been replaced sometimes in the last 27 years. But we're going to go ahead and replace this. We've got the whole gasket set up there, and so now we've got to clean this up, clean up all that, and we should be set. Alright, well, we knocked the seal out of there. It didn't take much. You just want to make sure when you get this seal in here, you don't mar this smooth edge in here. So however you knock it out, if you're going to do it in your truck, of course it's going to, you're going to have a little hard time getting it out. But it can be done. And like we did a while ago, we're going to clean that up. With everything else, we're going to clean it up, and we'll have that thing ready in no time. One of the things I want to mention about this thing, if you take a look at the bottom of the seal, it's still a little bit dirty. I haven't got it cleaned up yet. This is going to mate up with the oil pan. This has got to be very clean because you're going to put a gasket on here that's going to be material. I think mine is a mixture of rubber and paper, but you need to make sure that that is clean before you get ready to put this all back together. Another item is that you cannot use your steel wheel on here. This is aluminum, this is steel. You'll screw it up, it'll leak like a... So you don't want to make sure and do that. Now I used it out here where it's not a mating surface, but anywhere it's a mating surface and it's machine smooth, you got to make sure, man, you got to keep that thing pristine. Can't even put steel wool on it. That steel wool will pull the aluminum off. So this just has to be done by hand. Let me just show you the places where these likely to leak. So if you're looking at the back of the engine right here, this butts up against the oil pan down here, and these corners right here is where 3 pieces of metal meet. This one, and the engine. They all meet right here in these corners. This is the place where they usually leak, is right there. We're going to put our oil pan in last. Then make sure and get extra seal right here at the tips of these to where it will not leak right there, and you'll be happy you did. But everything seemed to come out pretty good. And of course you want to make sure and get that back seal housing gasket off of that. All over this. This is the surface that has to make ground contact with that engine for continuity of electricity. And so I still have it all covered up here so it won't get rusted. And we'll go over it again here in the next day or two before we get the engine in, before we start dropping the engine in. Okay, we've got our rear seal ready to go here, and I've got it up on these blocks here because I'm getting ready to pound it. Here's what you're supposed to look like. This is a gauge to make sure that this goes down the proper distance, and this is the actual seal. See, it has a protective sleeve in here, so when you put it over the crank, it'll keep the bevel where it's supposed to be. Okay, so this gets pushed down the exact distance it needs to be with this tool here, and I'll put board on top of it and we'll give it a whack. All right, now we got to make sure everything is nice and clean around this area right here. Now I don't want to use this steel wool too much here because it'll leave a little bit of steel, and we sure don't want to get that into a main, so I'm done with that. And we'll get our acetone in here, make sure all the oil is off of this, because we're getting ready to put this seal on right here. Let me show you the 2 different seals that came with this kit. All right, take a look. We have 2 different seals. Notice at the top, everything looks good. It's down here at the bottom where they look different. One is slightly longer. It's got a little bit of a tab to it. You see that? Get over here, you see. See that? One's a little bit longer. So you can use either one of them, but with the longer one, you'll wind up having to clip a little bit off down at the bottom. And since my side gunnels are sitting on wood, I'm not even going to attempt that one. So we're going to use the one that's cut right to do this. And let's see that it matches up down here perfectly with the edge. And so that's the one we're going to use. Alright, so we pulled the ring out. Everything went in there just fine. Everything's looking good. And we're going to press the RTV. Just get these started. We're not going to torque them yet. All right, we're gonna wrap the day up here. Finish this up, show you how far we've got now. Okay, all we gotta do is get the, all we gotta do, listen to me. I'm set up to do my timing. So once I get that there, I have to hang the P-pump, and there's a fuel line that goes on the back side of here, and I gotta get that fuel line hung. And then we'll put the P-pump up. My oiler line is supposed to be in the mail today, and so I should be able to get that done tomorrow. So just a good look at it from out here. That's it for today, guys. Make sure and subscribe down below here, would you? And if you're part of my Facebook group, welcome in. Glad to have you in. And if you want to look at any of the other videos, they're over on YouTube. And just search in YouTube for Pops FBR, and you'll come up with all my stuff. All right. Have a great day, guys. See you next time.